Hello everyone, welcome to English with Evelyn. How are you all? I hope all of you are happy, healthy and are doing well in life. Today's video is a two-in-one video. In this video, first you are going to hear and enjoy a story, and after that, those of you who are studying in class 10 and who have the necklace, the story The Necklace as a part of the syllabus can continue and watch the video till the end, and we are going to discuss the questions and the characters and a lot of information about the genre. All this will be discussed. Fine. So let us begin the story right away. So the name of the story is The Necklace. Matilda is the protagonist of the story. She was a pretty, charming young woman who was born into a petty official's family. As they were not well off, she had no dowry, no hopes, and not the slightest chance of being appreciated, loved, and married to a rich and distinguished man who could provide her with a luxurious life and expensive things that could do justice to her beauty. So she slipped into marriage with a minor civil servant at the Ministry of Education, although she was not at all happy with the unkind way life had treated her. She remained unhappy with everything around her apartment, the wallpaper, the simple food, her simple clothes, nothing made her happy. Now she had a wealthy friend, Madame Forestier, whom she seldom visited because every visit made her grieve and cry for days. Unaware of her unfulfilled desires and sadness, her hard-working husband continued to enjoy the simple things in life. One day, he returned from work and gave his wife an invite to a lavish party at the minister's residence. His wife was not at all thrilled. When he asked her why she was so disinterested, she answered that she didn't have anything nice to wear to such a lavish ball. Eager to make her happy, he offered to give her the 400 francs which he had been saving to buy a gun for himself so that he could join his friends to shoot larks on Sundays that summer. But he gave away this money to his wife. Now Matilda got a pretty dress made for herself. But as the day of the ball arrived, she became sad again, as she didn't have any beautiful jewels to wear to the ball. Although Monsieur Loisel thought that fresh flowers would be a good choice, his wife's distress made him suggest that she borrow something from her wealthy friend, Madame Forestier. Matilda loved this idea and rushed to her friend's house. Her friend put out all her jewelry before Matilda so that she could choose. Looking at all the jewels, Matilda was very confused. Finally, she borrowed a beautiful diamond necklace to wear to the ball. The day of the party arrived. Madame Loisel was a success. She was the prettiest woman present, elegant, graceful, smiling, and quite above herself with happiness. All the men stared at her, inquired her name, and asked to be introduced to her. All the under secretaries of state were eager to waltz with her. The minister noticed her. Her happiness was complete. She had always wanted the attention that her beauty was getting at the ball. She danced away till 4 in the morning without a thought for anything else. Her husband had been waiting since midnight in a small deserted sitting room with 3 other gentlemen whose wives were also having a wonderful time. He brought her wraps, the plain wraps whose shabbiness contrasted with the elegance of her evening dress. She wanted to run away before the other women in rich furs noticed her. Her husband went to get a cab but didn't find one, so they walked along the river till they found a carriage that dropped them at their doorstep. Once they reached home, the husband began to get ready to go to sleep as he had to go to work in the morning. Matilda took off her wraps before the mirror so that she could see herself in all her glory once again. Suddenly she cried out. The necklace was gone. There was nothing around her neck. He got up, thunderstruck. What did you say? What? Impossible. And they searched for the necklace everywhere but didn't find it. Finally, Loisel got dressed again. I'm going to retrace the whole distance we covered on foot, he said, and see if I can find it. She remained in her evening dress, too weak to go to bed, sitting crushed on a chair, lifeless and blank. Her husband returned home at 7 a.m. He had found nothing. Then he went to the police station, to the newspapers to offer a reward to the officers of the cab companies. In a word, wherever there seemed to be the slightest hope of tracing it. She spent the whole day waiting, in a state of utter hopelessness. Loisel returned in the evening, looking older and tired, for there was no news of the necklace. He asked his wife to write to her friend that the clasp of the necklace had broken and therefore there would be a delay in returning it. Matilda wrote as he had dictated. This lie would give them some time to find a necklace to replace the lost one. Then they went from one jeweler to the next, trying to find a necklace like the other. In a fashionable shop near the Palais Royal, they found a diamond necklace which they decided was exactly like the other. It was worth 40,000 francs. They could have it for 36,000 francs. Loisel possessed 18,000 francs left him by his father. He would borrow the rest. He signed promissory notes, borrowed at high interest rates from usurers, and a whole race of moneylenders. Then he went to get the new necklace, placing on the jeweller's counter 36,000 francs. Matilda returned the necklace to Madame Forestier, who was not happy with the delay. Matilda was relieved that she didn't open the case to check the necklace, for she was scared that if a friend noticed the substitution, she would take Matilda for a thief. Madame Loisel came to know the miserable life of the poor. However, she decided to face her troubles with unexpected fortitude. The debt had to be paid, and she would do everything to help her husband pay it off. They dismissed the maid and moved into an attic. Now she came to know all the heavy household chores, the loathsome work of the kitchen. She washed the dishes, wearing down her pink nails on greasy casseroles and the bottoms of saucepans. She did the laundry, washing shirts and dishcloths which she hung on a line to dry. She took the garbage down to the street every morning and carried water upstairs, stopping at every floor to get her breath. Dressed like a working class woman, she went to the fruit store, the grocer, the butcher, with her basket on her arm, bargaining for every sou. Her husband worked in the evenings, putting a shopkeeper's ledgers in order, and often at night as well, doing copying at 5 sous a page. And it went on like that for 10 years. After 10 years, they had finally paid off the debt. Madame Loisel looked old now. She had become the sort of strong woman, hard and coarse, that one finds in poor families. But sometimes, when her husband was at the office, she would sit down by the window and muse over that party long ago, when she had been so beautiful and delicate. She wondered how things would have turned out if she hadn't lost that necklace. Who could tell? One day, one Sunday, she was strolling along the Champs-Élysées to forget the week's chores for a while. She suddenly caught sight of a woman taking a child for a walk. It was Madame Forestier, still young, still beautiful, still charming. After hesitating for a while, Matilda decided to go and talk to her and tell her the truth, as she had paid everything back. She went up to her. "Hello, Jean." The other didn't recognize her and was surprised that this plainly dressed woman should speak to her so familiarly. But Matilda went ahead and introduced herself. Her friend was very surprised at Matilda's poor appearance. Matilda said that it was all because of Madame Forestier and told her all about the lost necklace. Madame Forestier asked, "You say you bought a diamond necklace to replace the other one?" "Yes, you didn't even notice then. They really were exactly alike." And she smiled, full of a proud, simple joy. Madame Forestier, deeply moved, took Matilda's hands in her own. "Oh, my poor Matilda, mine was false. It was worth 500 francs at the most." And that is how the story ends. Now let us know a bit about Guy de Maupassant, who's the writer of the story, and also the genre of the story. So, Guy de Maupassant was a French writer who wrote tales that are both realistic and pessimistic, and they frequently offer unforeseen endings. So, Maupassant settled in Paris and joined a circle of writers led by novelist Émile Zola. With Zola's encouragement, he published his first story, Ball of Fat. This story earned him immediate fame, and then he was free to write full time. And The Necklace is his most widely read work. Now, a little bit about the genre of this story. In the late 19th century, a type of literature known as realism emerged. This was a reaction, a rebellion against the idealism and optimism that romantic literature had promoted. Realism sought to describe life as it is, without any frills, without ornaments or glorification. The Necklace is an example of realist fiction. It tells the story of an average woman who pays a significant price to experience a glamorous evening. As in all realist fiction, there is no fairy tale ending. In fact, the story ends very sadly, as we have just seen. Now, those of you who want to get good answers to the questions given in the book and some other questions as well, please continue to watch the video till the end. There are about 11 questions followed by character sketches. So, the first question is, what kind of a person is Madame Loisel? Why is she always unhappy? So, Madame Loisel was a young and pretty woman who led an unhappy life. She came from a poor family but always thought that she deserved all the riches and luxuries of life because of her beauty. She knew that her husband's modest income wasn't enough to satisfy her expensive desires, and all this made her unhappy and angry about her condition. Question 2. What kind of a person is a husband? Matilda's husband, Monsieur Loisel, was a calm, humble, and simple hearted young man. He was a petty clerk in the office of the Board of Education, but he was contented with his job and life. He enjoyed his simple life with modest meals and the simple pleasures of life. With great excitement, he brought a dinner invitation to a grand party for his wife. Although he was poor, he was a caring husband as he gave 400 francs to his wife to buy a pretty dress for herself for the party. What fresh problem disturbed Madame Loisel after a new dress was ready? After spending 400 francs to buy a beautiful dress, Madame Loisel was troubled by the fact that she did not have a beautiful jewel to go with her pretty dress. Her husband suggested that she wear some natural flowers as jewelry, but she refused, saying that there was nothing more humiliating than to be dressed shabbily among rich women. How was the problem solved? Answer. Matilda's husband advised her to request and borrow some jewels from her rich friend, Madame Forestier. Matilda liked his wonderful idea. The next day, she went to her friend's house and picked an exquisite necklace of diamonds that matched her beautiful dress. In this way, her husband's suggestion solved her problem. Question 5. What did Monsieur and Madame Loisel do when they realized that the necklace had been lost? Answer. When they realized that the necklace had been lost, the Loisels tried their best to find it, but were unsuccessful. Monsieur Loisel even went back to the streets through which they had returned home in case it had accidentally fallen on the road. When he couldn't find anything, he went to the police and cab offices and also put up an advertisement in the newspapers offering a reward to anyone who found the necklace. Finally, he asked his wife to write a letter to her friend Madame Forestier stating that the clasp of the necklace had broken and that she would return it once it was repaired. This gave them more time to find the necklace. However, after losing all hope of ever finding it, they bought a new diamond necklace to replace the lost one. Question 6. How did they manage to buy an expensive diamond necklace? Answer. When they realized that the necklace had to be replaced, Monsieur and Madame Loisel decided to buy a new necklace. Monsieur Loisel possessed 18,000 francs that his father had left him and borrowed the rest of the amount from moneylenders at a very high interest. When they had collected enough money, the couple went to the merchant and bought a new necklace for 36,000 francs and returned it to Madame Forestier. Question 7. The course of the Loisel's life changed due to the necklace. Comment. Answer. The Loisel's life changed drastically due to the lost necklace. It took them 10 years to repay the loans that they had taken to buy the necklace. Their life turned upside down and everything changed for them. To repay the debt, they had to send away the maid and had to rent some rooms in an attic. Matilda did all the tedious work of the kitchen, washed the dirty linen, and bargained with the grocer and butcher to save every single sou to repay the loans. Her husband worked until late evenings and took up part-time jobs to repay their debt. The couple led a miserable life to sustain themselves and finally repaid the loans that they had taken to buy the diamond necklace. Question 8. What was the cause of Matilda's ruin? How could she have avoided it? Answer. Matilda's dreams of a luxurious life and dissatisfaction with her ordinary life were the cause of her ruin. She was always unhappy about her financial status and wished to be in the midst of riches and luxuries of life. She could have easily avoided her ruin by accepting her current situation and being content with her simple life with her loving and simple husband. Question 9. What would have happened if Matilda had confessed to her friend that she had lost her necklace? Answer. If Matilda had confessed to her friend about the loss of the necklace, she could have saved herself from ruin. Her friend would have been upset, but they would have easily replaced the necklace that cost 500 francs only. They would not have spent Loisel's entire inheritance and borrowed 18,000 francs to buy a replacement for the lost necklace. Apart from this, she could have saved herself and her husband from 10 long years of suffering, poverty, and all the trouble that they had to undergo to repay the frightful debt. Question 10. Honesty is the best policy. Comment. Answer. In this story, apart from Matilda's flaws that brought about her ruin, it was also her lack of honesty that was responsible for their miseries. If only she had been honest, she would have learnt the truth and would have saved not only their money, but also their pride and dignity. We sometimes suffer unnecessarily just because we are not safe enough to tell the truth or to do the right thing. Moral courage makes us honest in our everyday dealings and helps us to be at peace with ourselves. Question 11. We should be content with what life gives us. Comment. Answer. If Matilda had been content with whatever she had, a caring husband, a comfortable home, warm food, their ability to afford a maid, a simple yet peaceful life, she would have been happy and would have stayed out of trouble. But she was ungrateful and did not appreciate the blessings in her life. But destiny made her realize her mistake the hard way. She learnt that happiness lies in enjoying the simple joys of life and not in craving for riches all the time. And so we should also be content with what life us. We should not run after elusive things that we think would make us happy, because in the end they give us only sorrow, misery, and do not let us enjoy the blessings that we already have in our lives. Now, look at the character traits. Matilda undergoes a change, a metamorphosis in her character. Earlier, she is unhappy, dissatisfied, covetous, and ungrateful. But later on, after losing the necklace and when she becomes morally strong, she becomes hardworking, uncomplaining, and peaceful. Mr. Loisel is a character who's consistent throughout the story. He's diligent, caring, simple, humble, and prudent. Prudent means he was wise with his money. So with this, we come to the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye.